The areas in our life where it's the most uncomfortable to trust God is where He's trying to build our faith. Welcome to day 115 of the Seek Him First Book of Mormon Challenge. We're in Alma 20 today, and in the previous chapter, Abish, she displays so much faith when there was two opposing sides. A lot of people were contending and in a fight over the king and the queen and Ammon falling to the earth and looking dead. They were prostrate on the ground, and people didn't know what to think of it. People thought that Ammon was there to be the great spirit and condemn them for their iniquities. So some people thought he was God, and some people thought he was an evil monster there to punish them. There was two very opposing sides and a lot of opposition. Abish was a believer and saw this contention, and it made her really sad. There was a man that was very angry against Ammon because Ammon had smote off the arms of a lot of the Lamanite brethren that tried to scatter the king's flocks at Sebus. He recognized Ammon and thought, I'm going to kill him. He's laying there prostrate on the land, and I'm just going to slay him when I have the chance, get my revenge for my brother. So as he goes to avenge one of his brethren, he immediately falls dead before he can slay Ammon. So God was protecting him even when Ammon was seemingly dead. God's not going to let one of his prophets die before his time, before his message is fully received. All the people were in awe and shocked that this man fell dead when he tried to kill Ammon. And that's when Abish stepped in and was brave, and she went and touched the queen. As soon as she touched the queen, she arose. Then King Lamoni, he was still laying there, and the queen went to him and touched him, and he arose. The queen was singing praises to God and saying, "Oh, blessed God," and they went about preaching. And when Ammon woke up from his little coma, he arose and immediately administered to the people as well. Basically had this near-death experience that they were sharing with everyone. As many as would listen to their words were converted and baptized. And of course, there was still a multitude of them that didn't listen, but everyone who listened and had the faith were converted that day. Ammon catches wind that one of his brethren, Aaron, and two people that were with him preaching the gospel, they got imprisoned in a town called Madoni. King Lamoni said, I know the ruler of that land, and I'll go with you. He's a friend of mine. I'll help convince him to let your brother and his friends go. They were considering going to the land of Nephi to talk to Lamoni's father, but God directly asked them not to go there and go straight to Madoni. They didn't understand why they should go straight there instead of going to the king. So Lamoni's father was the king of all the land, and obviously there was other smaller rulers. This was another leap of faith for them, not understanding why God wanted them to go straight there instead of straight to the king. But on their way to Madoni, they actually ran into his father. So God knew exactly where King Lamoni's father would be. When they ran into him, he was angry that he didn't come to his feast. And his son explained why, that he had established a church in his land. And he was angry with him that he was with Ammon because he knew he was a Nephite. And the Lamanites and the Nephites, they just don't get along. And they pre-decided that. And he was angry because he said, the Nephites, they've robbed from us, they've stolen from us. The hate got passed down generationally, so the prejudice was still there in his father, and he couldn't understand that the Nephites could be good people. He was angry with his son and went to slay him, and then Ammon contended with him and stuck up for his son, and then the king was like, yeah, my son's not at fault here, you are. So then he goes to slay Ammon, and Ammon smotes off his arm and contends with him, and he knew that he was going to lose his life, so he begged Ammon to spare his life, and Ammon said, I'll spare your life as long as you let Lamoni still be the king and let me go forward and free my brethren. The king was impressed with their low demands, so he offered his son to rule and reign without any bother from then going forward. And he also granted that they could go free Ammon's brethren. And when he got there, he was really sad and sorrowful to see that they had been withholding food from them, and their skin was worn down quite a bit where they had bound them. So they were in pretty bad shape. But nevertheless, they found them and they freed them, and they came out victorious in this situation. But through this whole story, you can see that with Abish and with Lamoni and Ammon, they had to have much faith in order to trust. And this is why I say, wherever you're having a hard time trusting God is where he's trying to build your faith. Because even though Abish, Lamoni, and Ammon had faith, it built other people's faith to see them having so much faith. So you can see that having faith has a domino effect. Abish being brave led to many being baptized, and Ammon and Lamoni being brave led to softening his father's heart and ultimately leading towards their brethren's freedom. I'm asking myself in my own life, where is it uncomfortable to trust God right now? And I definitely have those things right now where it feels like, hello, where are you? Or what's next? And a lot of the times just trying to stay present is the hardest thing sometimes, is not letting your problems riddle you with anxiety and just trying to trust in the day-to-day can be one of the hardest things. Like, who knew that being an adult, one of the hardest things would be to just be in the moment and be present in the midst of your heaviest trials. Playing with my nieces and nephews or going on a walk. These are ways that I try to stay present when I see myself leaning towards worry. So how can we better trust God in the areas that are uncomfortable to strengthen our faith?